Generative AI, it kind of feels like magic, doesn't it? You type in a question and bam, you get this brilliant answer. Or you ask for an image and it just creates one out of thin air. But what's really going on behind the scenes? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the building blocks that make it all work.
All right, so here's the game plan for this explainer. We're going to break down generative AI into 5 different layers. We'll start with what you see on your screen and work our way all the way down to the metal, the physical hardware. Then we'll bring it all back together to see why this whole structure matters so much.
Okay, so the first thing you've got to understand is that Gen AI isn't just one thing. It's a whole system, right? A complete, interconnected stack of 5 layers, and each one has a very specific job to do. I like to think of it kind of like a high-tech building, where every single floor relies on the one right below it.
So let's start our tour at the very top floor, the part you've probably already used yourself. This is what we call the application layer.
This is the interface, It's the part of AI that you can actually see and touch. Well, virtually touch. It's the chat window you type into, the document editor that helps you write, or that app on your phone. It lets you tap into all that AI power without having to know a single thing about coding.
So for instance, when you're using the Gemini app to plan a vacation, or maybe you're using its features inside your workspace to help you draft an email, or even if you're organizing research with something like Notebook Lem, that's you interacting with the application layer. It's basically the front door to this entire AI system.
All right, let's head down one level. Behind those slick, user-friendly apps are the action takers. These are the real doers of the AI world, the agents. So what's an agent? Think of it like a piece of software that's built for autonomous action. You give it a goal, and it figures out the best way to get it done, using whatever tools it has available. So we're not just talking about answering one simple question, we're talking about getting a whole complex job done.
And this is what makes them so incredibly powerful. See, a model might be able to answer a simple question like, "What's the weather today?" But an agent can take a command like, "Plan my weekend trip to the mountains," and then it'll go and check the weather, find available cabins, and map out a hiking trail. It's stringing together a whole sequence of actions.
So here's how that works. First, the agent analyzes the goal. Then it pulls in a bunch of different tools, maybe a search engine, a calculator, or your calendar. And finally, it chains all those actions together to finish the task. And the cool part? It does all this without you having to guide every single step.
And these agents can get super specialized. You can have customer service agents that resolve tickets, code agents that troubleshoot software, or data agents that analyze spreadsheets. The list goes on and on. Each one is a specialist, a doer for a very specific type of task.
Okay, so if the agents are the doers, what's powering their decisions? Well, that brings us down to the next layer, the brains of the whole operation, the AI models themselves.
The model is really the core intelligence engine. It's this super complex algorithm that's been trained on just massive amounts of data. We're talking text, images, code, you name it. And by sifting through all that data, it learns patterns and relationships. And that's what allows it to understand what you're asking and generate those really human-like responses.
This is where all those core generative abilities really come from. A model is what can generate an email from scratch, or translate Spanish into Japanese, or just answer a straightforward factual question. The agent then takes that raw power and applies it to get those bigger, multi-step tasks done.
Okay, so we've covered the apps, the agents, and the models, but what do they all run on? That takes us down to the very foundation of our building, the platform and infrastructure layers. This is the engine room.
Now, it's really helpful to think of these two bottom layers together. The infrastructure, that's the physical engine. We're talking raw hardware. The platform, on the other hand, is the toolkit that lets developers actually use that engine to build things.
Let's start at the absolute bottom. The infrastructure layer is the bedrock. It's the physical foundation that provides the insane amount of computing power that generative AI needs to function. Seriously, without this, nothing else is even possible.
And this is what it actually consists of. We're talking about huge data centers packed with servers, and those servers are powered by these specialized chips like GPUs and TPUs, which are designed specifically for AI calculations. And of course, you need all the software to store and run these gigantic models.
Now, sitting right on top of all that raw hardware is the platform layer. And this layer is a super important bridge. It basically takes all the complexity of the hardware underneath it and simplifies it, giving developers the tools they need to build, deploy, and manage their AI models and agents.
So the platform gives developers things like APIs. You can think of those as standardized plugs that let different pieces of software talk to each other. It also provides tools for managing all that data and for getting models out into the world. It just makes the whole development process way faster and much more efficient.
So we've gone on a journey, right? From the app on your screen all the way down to the silicon chips in a data center. But why does understanding this 5-layer stack actually matter? Well, because it's all one completely interconnected system.
And here's the key takeaway. It doesn't matter if you're a developer, a business leader, or just someone who's curious about this stuff. Knowing how all these pieces fit together is absolutely essential. It helps you understand where the innovation is happening, and more importantly, how you can best use this incredible power.
Every single layer is indispensable. You can't have a great AI app without a smart agent behind it. You can't have an agent without a powerful model giving it brains. And you definitely can't run that model without the platform and infrastructure to support it. They all have to work together perfectly.
By understanding this system, you're better equipped to navigate this whole new world of artificial intelligence. It stops feeling like magic and starts feeling like a tool. So the only real question left is, now that you can see all the layers, what are you going to build?